Yes, quite. Hello, Boomer. Fellow Boomer here. Only Boomers allowed on this channel. Kids, show yourself out. Get off my lawn, you hooligans. If you are somebody out there who is not wearing a black tie or a black beanie to commemorate this wondrous evening, or if you're somebody who thinks, wow, Bandrew, what a lovely red smoking jacket, wrong. Bright colors for kids. Much better. Now that all those pesky kids are no longer interested in this video, how about we focus on the finer things in life? Let's go ahead and do a studio tour, because those darn kids can't afford anything. Ha! Yes, quite. First up is the microphone, and right now I am using the Neumann U87 on the Neumann mount, as well as the Neumann windscreen. I also make sure to use the Stedman ProScreen 101 in front of the microphone to help reduce the plosives a little bit more. But I do keep my trusty SM7B right next to me at all times in case I want to go back to old familiar. All the cables in my studio, as well as the cable connected to the microphone, are Mogami cables. The microphone sits on a low-profile boom arm to make sure that the boom arm doesn't cover my face while shooting video. This is the OC White Company Ultima low-profile boom arm or something like that. Then I run the microphone through an external preamp. Right now I am using the Universal Audio LA610 Mark II, which has a tube preamp, which is the 610, Universal Audio's most famous preamp. And then that preamp also has a T4 optical compressor, which is very similar to their classic LA2A leveling amp, which I just love. Right above that, we have the WA73 EQ and the DBX286S. Currently, I am not using those, so we can skip those for now. The LA610 Mark II runs into the Apollo X8, which is a Thunderbolt 3 audio interface and has DSP processing built in, and it just sounds incredible. Above that, I have the Focusrite 18i20 2nd Gen, which is what I use for all the microphone testing I do on this channel, and to answer the question of why I use the Focusrite stuff for my tests, it's because they are an excellent middle-of-the-road interface, which will not give the microphone any unfair benefit, and it also won't negatively affect the microphone either. So this tier of Focusrite gear gives the most people an idea of what they can expect out of a certain microphone. And the last thing in the rack is the Furman power conditioner to power all this stuff in the rack and make sure that there's no dirty power adding noise to my recording. And the last thing for the audio recording is acoustic paneling, and I finally upgraded from the cheap stuff on Amazon to proper audio panels, and I picked up the Automute panels for the wall, as well as their sound blankets to cover all of the windows and the majority of the walls. Out of the Universal Audio X8, I run to a pair of Neumann KH80s, which sit on IsoAcoustics monitor stands to isolate them from the desk. I am fully aware that monitor placement in a crammed space like this is not ideal, but I am stuck and working with what I've got. Also, for standalone headphone listening, I run the Modi multi-bit D-to-A converter, and that runs into the THX AAA 789 headphone amp. The headphones that I use for tracking are the Sony MDR7506s because they are insanely bright and they allow me to hear every detail of what I'm recording. But for playback, I'll use the Sennheiser HD650s because they are open back, they have a better sound stage, and they are some of my favorite sounding headphones, but I won't use them for tracking because they are open back and I want to limit the amount of bleed from what I am monitoring. For video, I recently upgraded from the Canon 70D to the Canon 90D, mainly because the 90D has clean HDMI output. For videos, I normally record this direct to an SD card and then transfer it to my computer, but if I'm jumping on a live stream or if I just need a webcam, I do have the Elgato Cam Link to do so. On the camera, I am running the Sigma 10-35 f1.8 lens. I like this lens because it is a very wide angle, but it also has a pretty wide aperture, so I'm able to still get a nice bit of bokeh. The B-roll camera that I use is now my old Canon 70D, and I will run 3 different lenses on this, and they are all Canon: the Canon 10-18, the Canon 24mm, and the Canon Nifty 50. The tripod that I use for my B-roll footage is the K&F Concept KF-TM2534T tripod, which allows me to do overhead shots, which is why I picked that one up. And the last camera that I use is for my podcast's secondary angle, and I use a GoPro Hero 7, I think, but I have a cage for the GoPro, which allows me to quickly pop it in and start recording, and that cage is mounted to an Elgato desk mount for camera, which is just amazing, and I am so glad that they finally released this. And the last piece of kit for the video segment is lighting, and I have 2 of these Neewer flexible panel lights, which work super well for me. They have a remote control, so I just sit down, hit on, and start recording. And I also have this old box light overhead thing that I bought 5 years ago. It is a Limo Studio or something, and it's treated me well, but it's super cheap. And lastly, for guitar, I am not going to cover all the guitars that I have, but if you want a video on that, let me know in the comments and I will make one in the future. But regardless of the guitar that I am using, I run over some 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch cable into my pedal board, and the first pedal on that board is a chromatic tuner. If you can only afford one pedal and you're a guitarist or a bassist, this is the pedal that you need. Get a tuner. From the tuner, I then run into a Ditto looper pedal, which has really helped me a lot in the microphone shootouts because it removes the variability from a performance. From that, I run into the Friedman Dirty Shirley pedal, which is my distortion or overdrive pedal, and I like this a little bit more than the BEOD from Friedman because this has a mids control, and I am a mid fanatic. Just give me all of the mids. And lastly, I run into the Earthquaker Avalanche to run delay and reverb. Out of the pedal board, I run into the Marshall DSL-15H, which I only run on the clean channel because I really don't like the tone of this thing. I am essentially just using it as a pedal platform now. And out of the amp, I run into this box that has actually saved my channel, and I mean that in complete and utter seriousness and honesty. This is the Box of Doom, and this is an isolation cab that I had Sylvester from Symbiosis customize a bit. When you open this thing up, it has multiple mounting points, so you can mount up to 4 microphones inside of it. It has 3 XLR pass-through ports, and what Sylvester had to do custom was create a USB-A pass-through so that I am able to test USB microphones in this thing. The speaker in this is a Celestion Vintage 30 to match what I was using in my orange PPC 112, and that is the Box of Doom. Again, let me know if you want a full video on this cab because I legitimately love this thing, and it has allowed me to keep making videos that have music tests in them. And lastly, we have the computer stuff, and I am not a computer guy, so this will go quick. I run a 2017 27-inch iMac with a 3.8 GHz Core i5, 40 GB of RAM, and a Radeon Pro 580. I also have some 13-inch monitor off to the side in portrait mode, and I use this to have my show notes or a voice chat or anything that's a little bit less important that doesn't need my immediate attention. Underneath my desk, I also have some kind of Windows PC. I don't know what's inside of it. There's a graphics card, a CPU, and something, and look at that amazing cable management. Yum. As far as peripherals, I am running the Keychron K2 wireless mechanical keyboard, which is just amazing. I run the Logitech MX Master 2S and the Apple Magic Trackpad. And that is a complete rundown of the gear that I use for this YouTube channel as well as my podcast. Please keep in mind that this is all overkill, and you could easily make great YouTube videos with just a webcam and a $50 microphone. And lastly, if you do want to know more about any of the gear that I mentioned in this video, I have linked it all in the description, and you can also find it at podcastage.com/studio. Okay, Boomer, I think that is about enough fun for today. You gotta go take your afternoon nap after all. But if you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, give me a big old thumbs down. My mustache is in my mouth. If you want more videos, you can subscribe by clicking that logo down beneath me. And if you want to support the channel and become one of these amazing people over here, you can do so by clicking that join button and joining at the $5 tier. It really does help me continue to bring you these videos and buy these stupid costumes. I'm so sorry. Until next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Bye. Yes, quite. Yes.